Would you have taken her championship away from her if she had a cowards, idiots, and cowards apparently run high school athletics in the state of California? So first of all, I hope you're right. They need to reinstate this. But it's an absolute joke for a state that'll let somebody go out there with male genitalia. An athlete who has lost a championship due to what is being termed an excessive celebration by the California Interscholastic Federation. Clara Adams, a sophomore. This girl is just a sophomore, North Salinas High School. She came up in the 400 state finals, 400 meters, won it, thought she was a state champion, celebrated a little too excessively for the powers that be, and it was a creative celebration. You can see her crossing there, 400-meter state champion, for a couple of minutes until this happened. Getting out a fire extinguisher and spraying it on her shoes, which I think is pretty good. I mean, I think that's pretty good. That's not a bad celebration. She's not doing it in front of the other competitors. After it was over, she went over and had a little celebration. And this is actually a nod to a guy named Maurice Green, track and field athlete who did this in 2004 after winning the men's 100 meters at a USA track and field event, an outdoor event in California. So what she's doing is a callback to this moment in what was her moment until the CIF decided to strip her of her state championship. 53:25 was her time as a sophomore. And now it's gone. She's not the champion because of that. All right, California, here we go. California, the same California where we just saw a biological male win 2 state championships in the female long jump and triple jump. Where that same individual set a national high school female record in the triple jump earlier this year. That individual in question, not a female, by the way. The female long jump champion and triple jump champion in the state of California right now ain't even a girl, my friends. But we're going to take away the state championship from Clara Adams because she sprayed a fire extinguisher on her shoes to cool them off. Is this still real life? How can you be such a stickler for the rules that you are going to punish this girl by taking away her state championship that she earned? We watched her win it. Was she on performance-enhancing drugs? No. Did she cheat? No. She won it fair and square and then had it taken away from her because of a celebration. And yet this same governing body that will do that doesn't mind if someone that is a biological male goes in and makes a mockery of the entire competition. How can you simultaneously, California, CIF, how can you simultaneously be such a strict stickler for everything that you're going to take away a fairly earned state championship because you didn't like the celebration, but you're going to allow males to go and take championships away from girls in female athletics? You're a clown show. You're a clown show right now, and everybody knows it. Would you have taken her championship away from her if she had a dick? I bet you wouldn't have. I bet you that they would not have. If the same celebration had occurred and that had been a trans athlete, I'm here to tell you they would have not taken the championship away because they would have been afraid of the blowback and they would have been afraid that they were going to be called discriminatory in some way. Cowards. You're nothing more than a bunch of cowards. Idiots and cowards apparently run high school athletics in the state of California. And it's ridiculous. You ought to go live in garbage. Rules officials that took away Clara Adams' championship. This guy lived in garbage, but unlike you, he actually had a grasp on reality. You have lost it completely. California, a state where men can compete with girls, but girls had better be careful not to get too excited when they win a championship, because we'll take that fucking thing away from you in a minute. What are we doing? Really, this is where we're at. The reigning champion in the long jump and the triple jump in the state of California for girls is a boy. And Clara Adams is not the 400-meter champion now because she sprayed a fire extinguisher on her sneakers. You tell me. Absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, here's a thought for you. We were talking about Saquon Barkley yesterday being the Madden cover boy for 2026. It's got some people thinking about what they're going to do for the college game. And here's a concept for EA to consider. Maybe just put Jordan Hudson on the box. What do you think? She's the most talked about college sports figure in America anyway. How do you think North Carolina would feel about that? Brought in Bill Belichick, and what a bonus. You get Jordan Hudson too. There she is. Let me bring in now the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee, as always. He is, of course, Ronnie T-shirts. And Ronnie, let's go back to this train wreck that is the state of California and the California Interscholastic Federation. You tell me, Ron, how can you possibly act like you are going to be, cross the T's, dot the I's, mind your P's and Q's, any other letters in the alphabet that we need to reference? Boy, they're running a real tight ship for a state that'll let somebody go out there with male genitalia and win state championships. I don't know how they can take themselves seriously. I don't know how they can look themselves in the mirror, Ron.
I have secondhand fury right now. Secondhand fury, Ricky. Like, this doesn't affect me in any way, and I'm furious right now. I don't know how the hell an adult can sit there and in good conscience make this decision to take this moment away from this girl. I don't care what she did after the fact. That doesn't take away from the fact that she won. And my guess is here's what's going to happen. They're going to reinstate her as the champion, but you know what she'll never get to do, Ricky? She'll never get to stand on that podium. That's gone forever. Like, that moment was taken away from her. And I'll tell you what, if we're gonna judge things on how egregious they are, you showed the video of Maurice Green. He basically emptied a full-size fire extinguisher out all over the place. That was kind of excessive. Now, I don't think you should take any of the athletic accomplishments away from him or anybody else. But, dude, she went poop, poop. Like, it was almost like she was spraying, anti-fungal spray on her feet for 2 seconds. Like, there are adults out there. Is that what it
looks like when you come in from your evening walks, Ron, after you've gotten your 8,000 steps? Give it a 11,000.
11,000.
Like that?
Wow. But, dude, I just, how can an adult, if you ask the person or the people that made this decision, how can they even answer it? How can they answer it without, like, there's just no way. They're idiots, man. They're idiots. They're misguided. They have their priorities wrong. it just again, man, secondhand fury right now. Like I'm so mad about this. Like it's I don't get mad that often.
Anybody with common sense. Tim is in my ear telling me that Maurice Green says that they should reinstate it. Well, so everybody with a fucking brain should think that they should reinstate
Ricky,
this.
She doesn't get to be on the podium. Those assholes took that moment away from her, and she will never, ever get it back.
Right.
Ever.
And she said as much. She said as much. That moment has been taken away from her. I hope that it fuels her. First of all, they better reinstate this. If they don't reinstate this, it's going to be one of the most grievous miscarriages of justice that I've ever seen in athletics at any level. So first of all, I hope you're right. They need to reinstate this. And I hope that it fuels her to come back next year, run even faster, and stand even taller on the podium when she accepts her second state championship. Because as a sophomore, it looks to me like she's got a good chance to three-peat this shit.
Well,
but it's an absolute joke. The state of California, they ought to know that the eyes of the country are on them. We're watching you, California.
They don't care,
Some
Ricky.
of us are watching
They
you.
don't care. They think they're better and smarter
than
us. They think they're better and smarter than us. We don't understand. We don't understand. Because here's the truth, Ricky. They're so fucking worried about feelings. They didn't want somebody else's feelings to be hurt by this girl's actions of taunting and rubbing it in their face or whatever. When I first saw this story, I hadn't seen the video. I thought it was going to be something wild, right? Like I thought it was going to be like wild, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, what was this girl thinking?" I'd still tell you she shouldn't have that taken away from her, but I was just thinking, man, what am I about to see? And when I just that is literally the first time I saw it.
And I'm old school, Ron.
Little spritz.
I'm old school. I generally am of the opinion, you score a touchdown, go over, do what Walter Payton used to do. Do what Barry Sanders used to do.
Act like you've been there.
Take the football over, hand it to the official, and go back to the sideline. Act like you've been there before and you plan to be there again. But we live in a different society now. I'm watching more Major League Baseball games right now than I've watched in a lot of years, Ron. And it's still, I have mixed feelings now because, as you've probably seen, that when they hit home runs, most teams have some sort of celebration where they go back to the dugout and they put on Viking horns, or they put on a sombrero, or they do this, that, or the other, and they have their home run celebrations now. And it's hard to
other
imagine.
Cultures?
It's hard to imagine, Babe Ruth or Jackie Robinson or Hank Aaron or, it's hard to imagine most of the great players throughout baseball, doing something like that. But we live in a culture today where athletes like to celebrate, and they take pride in trying to come up with creative celebrations. And as much as I can be at times the get off my lawn guy, old school traditionalist, that was not a crazy celebration.
No.
As I said, it was creative. It was fun. It made me chuckle. And for it to come from the same folks that have no problem letting males go in there and compete absolutely unfairly on an unlevel playing field, it strikes me completely wrong.
Yeah, think
as
about
you
it.
said, you're not the only one that has secondhand rage over this one, Ron. Some Knicks fans have a little bit of rage in the wake of Tom Thibodeau getting canned by the Knicks. And this is really interesting, right? This guy comes in, turns the franchise around. This franchise was just, absolutely struggling for a couple of decades before Tibbs gets there. He turns the program around. He creates a winning culture. He's leading them to 50-win seasons, their first Eastern Conference Finals in for fucking ever, and he's rewarded with a pink slip. What do you think of this, Ron?
I don't follow the NBA that closely, but the word on the street out there is that while Thibodeau did help them achieve something they haven't achieved in 25 years, best record they've had in 25 years, I think is what it is. His coaching methods are kind of unconventional. And I think that the New York Knicks brass probably felt like there's just no way they're going to ever get over this hump because he doesn't play very many players, right? He kind of has this reputation, and I believe when he was in Minnesota, where he was in Chicago too, right? He just runs the players into the ground. He just runs the players into the ground.
He does what basketball coaches did forever until we all became pussies. I mean, oh, he plays his best players. Oh my God, what a monster.
Yeah, but
get the fuck out of here. It's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but if by the end of the game you're exhausted, I mean, you know, I don't know, Ricky.
They play 82 games a year. They play 80. If you can't get your ass out there for 35 to 40 minutes, 82 nights a year for the 10, 20, $30 million or more that you're making, go work a real fucking job. Go work in a grocery store. I got no sympathy for this modern soft NBA, this idea that guys need to be setting games out. Jordon would go out there and he'd play 82. He played 82 and almost 40 minutes a night when he was 40. And Thibodeau took them here. Man, the coaching profession can be cruel, man. And I also think that a lot of organizations, they do change for the sake of change. This is the thanks that this guy gets for coming in and resuscitating this team that absolutely atrophied under James Dolan. He comes in and he unburies them. He creates a culture. They create an identity. Jalen Brunson said that he's the right guy for the job after they got eliminated. And this is what happens. They're talking about bringing in Mike Malone, possibly. There's some word out there. The rumor mill is at work that the former Nuggets coach, another guy who was fired under weird circumstances,
right? He
got canned with 3 games left in the regular season after leading the Nuggets to winning season after winning seasons, won a championship just a couple of years ago. I don't know. The Thibodeau thing, though, has set off a lot of people. Stephen A. Smith among them. He had some strong words to say about this. Let's listen to Stephen A.
Tom Thibodeau. Why the hell is he out of a job? Again. He's not flawless. Again. There have been times where I've been critical of Tom Thibodeau, no doubt. But for him to guide the Knicks as deep as they did, for him to upend Boston. And I want to hear about no injury to Jason Tatum because Jason Tatum went down with about a couple of minutes left in game 3. And the Knicks were about to go up 3-1. And he was healthy when the Knicks beat Boston games 1 and 2 in Boston of that Eastern Conference semifinal series. So I'm looking at all of that and I'm saying, yo, we got to call it like it is. We got to call it like he see it. Look at the roster of the New York Knicks. Tom Thibodeau is a defensive-minded coach. Is it possible? Is it plausible? Does it make sense, ladies and gentlemen?
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. But this is the culture that we live in. I've said before on this show, one of my favorite contemporary sports facts is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1969. Look at the way that teams go through managers and coaches in all of the big 4 sports. You don't win enough, soon enough, kick somebody to the curb, bring in the new guy, and then 2, 3, 4 years later, he's gone as well. It's dysfunctional the way that a lot of teams are run in terms of the way that they look at the head coaching position. Stability is underrated. And you got a guy in Thibodeau who came in and did what looked to be impossible. He made the New York Knicks a thing again. When I was in New York, a few weeks ago, and Tim and I were out walking around Times Square, there was New York Knicks energy. It was palpable. People cared about the New York Knicks. It is a thing again. And so what do? You just yank the carpet right out from under the guy who turned the entire thing around for you. Good luck with that, New York. Stephen A., that's the most heated I've seen Stephen A. since, I don't know. I got to go back to that time he was on Law and Order, and he just started. Look at that. Look at that expression. Ron, is that a still from the video that we were just listening to, or is that from Law and Order? That is him telling a guy off on Law and Order. Stephen A., I'm going to tell you, I watched this clip this morning. Pretty good acting. The guy is a natural performer, dude. He really is.
So this isn't when he's Brick.
That he was Stephen A.
This isn't
when he's Brick. No, this is from Law and Order. And he had to like chew this guy out. I don't know the context, but I do know that if you didn't know that Stephen A. was Stephen A. and you were just watching the show, you would have thought he was an actor.
Because
like it was a legit performance.
Being an actor's easy, as I said last week.
Well, listen, maybe we can get you an appearance sometime.
Is that what you're saying?
Mike O'Malley told me that I could be asshole in the hallway number 2.
You'd be an amazing asshole. You'd be an amazing asshole.
One of his, well, talk about not having to act, you know.
End the show right there. End the show.
Right in my wheelhouse. Ron, it's like Stephen A. can throw
the role you were born for.
He can go from being sports take guy to an actor. It reminds me, Ron, of the switch that we used to throw back when we were kids. Have a look at this sweet bastard, will you?
Who didn't have that, Ricky?
It was always Channel 3.
Yep.
For me. You'd have to connect that thing up, click it over to Channel 3, and suddenly your crappy old tube television became a paradise of gaming fun. I know that's what I had with my old Atari 2600.
Oh.
One of the most valuable things in my life.
I mean, whoever manufactured that thing was wildly rich, because I don't know a single person that didn't have one of those in their house. I mean, that was in every single house. You had to have it. Every single
It was like a fucking miracle invention.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only thing that could turn your shitty TV into something sort of futuristic at the time.
Yep.
Now we live in a world where our TVs are fucking smart TVs, and I know that you're watching 4 things at once. They're computers. But back in the day, that little box right there was a piece of magic as far as I was concerned back around 1981 or so.
Man, could you imagine, Ricky, if being a kid today and being into video games and playing video games on the TVs that we have in our houses now? I mean, what did you have? You have a 75 at your house? I'm not going to say what I have, 98. Could you imagine playing a video?
I have a 65, Ron.
Oh God.
I have a micro.
You have a micro TV.
Yeah.
Well, I have to compensate. You clearly understand. That's why I'm compensating, right? Yeah. Yeah, well,
of course you have a 98-inch TV.
Yeah, guys with 98-inch TVs. Yeah, everybody knows.
Your TV and your manhood, you're almost at the century mark combined.
Yep.
But
I'm an inch short. I'm an inch short.
Yeah.
But could you imagine playing Space Invaders on a 75-inch or a 98-inch TV? That would be crazy. I mean, we're playing it on little tiny
19.
Yeah.
My good TV, the big TV when I was growing up was 19 inches.
Yeah.
The little TV was 13 inches.
Yep.
You know, so if you wanted to be on the good TV, you go into the den where you had 19 inches of incredible things to watch in terrible detail. Reviews are coming in on our new bi-weekly newsletter, and it seems that you sweet bastards are loving it. Head over to outkick.com/newsletters. You can sign up for this bad boy. It's an opportunity for you to have a backstage pass, really, to Super 70 Sports and the Ricky Cobb Show for that matter. And ask me your questions. Send in your photos for me to caption. We're going to be doing some gimme fives over there. Every 2 weeks, I will be writing the rewind column, breaking down things that have been going on in society and whatever's on my mind about the world of sports, about pop culture, nostalgia, you name it. I'll be telling some stories from from my youth and so forth. A lot of good stuff. It's absolutely free, and you can unsubscribe anytime. So why aren't you signing up right now? God damn it. Get over there. OutKick.com/newsletters. Ricky Cobb's Rewind 2 times a month, except for those couple of months where you'll get 3 of them. It's a bonus. It's like your paycheck. Every now and then you'll just get an extra one when you weren't even expecting it. It's my pleasure now to welcome to the program not just one of the finer players in NHL history, but a very interesting man as well, a multifaceted individual. My pleasure to welcome to the program former Stanley Cup champion Theo Fleury. Theo, good morning.
How you doing, sir?
Doing very well. I love the hoodie, by
Thank
the way
you.
there. That is a strong fashion statement. We've heard a lot of talk in recent years about the fact that a Canadian-based NHL franchise has not hoisted the cup since 1993. Obviously, the finals get underway tonight. The Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers in a rematch of last year's 7-game series. The Oilers have a chance to break that 30-plus year drought. As a Canadian, does that mean anything? Is that just one of those things where people say, oh, here's a fact, a Canadian team hasn't won it since 93? Or does that mean something to a Canadian, even if it's not the Calgary Flames? Would you like to see Edmonton win it just for the pride of it going to a Canadian city again?
Well, personally, because, had many battles and wars against the Oilers, no, I do not want them to win the Stanley Cup ever again. And that's just a personal thing with me. But, I would say the hardcore hockey fan in Canada, yeah, obviously I would say that the majority of Canadians are cheering for the Oilers as opposed to the Florida Panthers. But, I think that Florida has to be the favorite. They are an amazing team. They play the game the right way. With the Sam Bennett's, the Kachucks, the Marchands, those are, guys that play the game the right way. And I think that Edmonton will have their hands full. But I think at the end of the day, it'll come down to goaltending. Skinner has to outplay Bobrovsky, and if he doesn't, the Oilers will not win the Stanley Cup. Because at the end of the day, when teams win Stanley Cups, their goalie is usually considered in the Conn Smythe voting as the most valuable player in the playoffs. And so I think at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to is goaltending, which is the last line of defense. Whenever there's a mistake made on the ice, it either ends up in your net or your goalie makes a huge save to, save your butt.
How many games do you think it'll go, Theo?
I would say 6 or 7, Any team that has, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on their team, you have a chance to win every single night. And it'll be up to Florida to try to neutralize those guys and limit their scoring chances, I think it's going to be a great series. It's going to be fun to watch and hopefully, it's a well-played series and, hopefully, like I said, it goes 6 or 7 games and, we'll see what happens, when that happens. As if you're a favorite in a series, you never want the series to go to 7 games, and I've been on the losing end of a lot of those series where we were the favorite, and I played in 5 game 7s, and 4 of them went to overtime, and I lost won 1 and lost the other 4. So it's hard to win that 4th game and close out teams, and if you let them hang around, and that's the thing about the playoffs is once you lose momentum, it's hard to get that momentum back, and so you'll see a lot of momentum swings in this series because you have so many great players on both sides of the spectrum here. So it'll, like I said, I think it'll be a great series and fun to watch.
Theo, you talk about those game sevens. Playoff hockey is just, it's different. I think even folks who are casual hockey fans like myself, I grew up in Kentucky. You know, we didn't have youth hockey. We didn't have hockey at all.
Right,
I got to watch a little hockey on ESPN. I developed some affection for the Hartford Whalers. You can see the jersey there behind me. But how difficult is it? I mean, because the tension, just watching on TV, even if you don't have a rooting interest, when you see a game, any game, but a game seven go into overtime, and you know everything that's riding on it, even when you don't have a dog in the hunt, your collar starts to get a little tight. When that's over, you know, and you've come out on the losing end. How long does it take you to shake that off after the season and get your mind right to move forward and do what you need to do to get ready for the next season? How long do you carry that disappointment?
Well, I think you carry it for, you know, as long as you have the next opportunity to, you know, to redeem yourself. You know, game seven losses are devastating, and but you know, I think they're you know, a great learning experience. You know, the old saying is, I've learned more from losing than I ever did winning. You know, winning is easy. Losing is hard. It's difficult. It takes, you know, a bit of your soul every time, and yeah, it stays with you for, you know, a long time. And you know, like I said, I'm damn near 6 years old, and you know, I still have lots of reflection, lots of memories of, you know, those times when you know, when we lost those game sevens. And but you know, playoff hockey is barbaric. It's brutal. It's violent. And you know, the team that, you know, overcomes all that adversity is usually the team that you know, ends up carrying that wonderful prize around at the end of the season.
All right, Theo, I want to get into what you have going on today, but I want to ask you one more question about your career, because I love this fact. A little birdie. In fact, our mutual friend Brent, shout out to Brent.
Yes.
A terrific guy who connected us for this interview. He was telling, he is indeed. He is a good man. And he was telling me you are the only player in NHL history to have an all shorthanded hat trick. Can you take me back to that? Because that is a hell of an accomplishment to be the only guy who's ever done it. Take me back to that game and tell me the story real quickly of the all shorthanded hat trick.
Well, it was 1991. We were in St. Louis and late in the season, and my one and only 50-goal season I had was in 1991, and I was approaching the 50-goal mark, and yeah, we were playing in St. Louis, and I just had one of those nights where, you know, everything kind of fell into place, and yeah, scored a shorthanded hat trick in one game. So you know, obviously I was fast and skilled, and you know, all those things, and so you know, I was always a threat to score shorthanded because of, you know, my speed and my skill, and so everything just came together that night, and I had 3 opportunities shorthanded, and I buried all 3 of them, and you know, got my name in the record book. So pretty cool stuff.
I'll say no team was truly shorthanded if you were on the ice, at least on that night. Definitely not. So, so Theo, I want to get into, I know that there's a movie that's in the works about your life. Before I get to that and into the things that you have going on today, which are many and important, tell me, speaking of important things, how do you feel about the situation in Canada politically? We've heard so much in recent years, years and months. The back and forth between Trump and Trudeau, the change in leadership in Canada. How do you feel about the trajectory that Canada is on, and what concerns you the most right now about the political climate in your country?
Yeah. Well, we're headed down a very dangerous road. They say you're only one generation away from, communism, and I believe we're on that path and we're on that road, and um, you know, uh, unfortunately, in the last election, we elected another liberal government, with a very weak leader again. And yeah, we're there's some scary times up here in Canada, but I live in probably the most conservative province in Canada, which is Alberta, and the talk of separating and becoming a sovereign country on our own is gaining momentum every single day. And so hopefully at some point we can have a referendum on our sovereignty, and we can get the support and get the vote that we need to become our own country, because Canada has abandoned our greatest resource, which is oil and gas. And they're selling us this green initiative, which has failed everywhere it's been tried. And if we're in huge debt in this country, and we have a government that wants to shut down our only really source of income that puts us on a level playing field with every single country in the world. And we could be the most prosperous, rich country in the world, but unfortunately, we have a bunch of communists that are, running our country right now, that are trying to suppress and get us to, this net zero insanity. And so hopefully, like I said, we'll step up here in Alberta and create wealth and prosperity, for the people.
The most important issue for me here in America with last year's presidential election was free speech. It seems like the leftists nowadays in the United States, we see it in the United Kingdom, we see it in Canada, where, it's just saying the wrong thing. Suddenly, if you offend somebody, you're guilty of a crime potentially. How do you feel about that? And how concerned are you about the erosion of free speech in Canada?
Well, if you looked at a communist manifesto, one of the key points in bringing communism is to suppress, free speech. And so, there's definitely been an attack on that in Canada, and I know there's been an attack on it in the United States. And thank God for Elon Musk buying X. Otherwise, I think we'd already be there. So, yeah, it's really weird time to be alive, and really weird time to sort of exist in this in this crazy world of this left woke insanity. And but communism has been tried, I don't even know, 24 25 times in our lifetime, and most times it fails. And but unfortunately it probably takes 2 decades for it to fail. And we're in probably year 11 or 12 of this whole communist craziness, and we've got 8 more years to watch it implode on its own, which it usually does.
All right, Theo, I want to get to the biopic that is in the works based on your book. First of all, how does it feel to be in a position where there's going to be a movie made telling your life story, and then just playing off of that into the things that you're passionate about today? I'd like for you to let the people know what you have going on now, and what they can do to kind of support your endeavors.
Yeah. Well, for many years, I felt that I was the only person, that had experienced sexual abuse in my life. And so, when I wrote the book in 2009 and went across Canada and the United States on a book tour, not only did I realize I wasn't alone, but I was involved in probably one of the biggest epidemics on the planet, which is child sexual abuse and child trafficking, and all of this stuff. And so, I know that the book has helped many people. My documentaries that I've made have helped a tremendous amount of people. The music that I wrote has helped many people overcome, the silence, which is those of us who experience sexual abuse. And then, because society hasn't really created a space or environment for people like us to talk about our trauma or our mental health or our addiction problems, you name it. And so, I've basically spent the last 18 years, out there trying to create a safe space for people to talk about this stuff, because I believe that the first step in anybody's healing journey is that first reveal, and them, standing in their truth and talking about, what happened to them. And obviously, that has morphed into, me traveling all over the country, sharing my experience, strength, and hope with everybody. And yeah, I think this movie has potential to, keep an emphasis, keep an exclamation point on the fact that, 1 in 3 girls, 1 in 5 boys before the age of 18 will have some sort of unwanted sexual experience, which will then lead to mental health struggles, which will then lead to addiction issues as a coping mechanism to suppress, the emotional pain and scars that are left behind from somebody having this experience. And so, yeah, we're excited and optimistic, moving forward as to how many lives that this movie, can touch.
If you like what you saw on today's show, head over to outkick.com/newsletters and sign up for Ricky Cobb's Rewind. We're going to have great stuff coming to you every 2 weeks via email. It's absolutely free, and you can stay on top of everything that we're doing on the program.